Hi guys, it's me, Susan. Welcome to Cruisin' with Susan. This is January 1st, 2016. I don't know about you, but 2015 just sort of went, psh, so I don't know what happened to it. But, oh, that's Jolie knocking the camera. So that's why it's jiggling. At least 2015 for me didn't have as many medical problems. I didn't have cancer and I didn't have a broken hip as I did in 2014. So that makes it a success just right off the bat there. It got a lot of things accomplished, but what I want to talk about today, for any of you who might be thinking about changes you want to make in yourself or your life, as a lot of us do at this time of year, but I mean, it's almost a cliche. It is a cliche that New Year's resolutions don't last. So I'm going to give you a few tips on how to approach making changes if you actually want to make changes. Now, one of the big questions to start out with is, what do you want to change and why do you want to change it? So as far as what do you want to change, here's what I would suggest. One thing. Pick one thing, okay? Not two, not 10, not... And once you pick the one thing, then maybe you can get into some more finer detail about that thing. But no, not lose weight, eat better, take a class, learn how to play an instrument, get my house cleaned up, throw away all my clutter. No. Even those, most of those are too big. But anyway, pick one thing. And what I would suggest is, if you have several things that you're considering, the goal would be to pick the one thing that is easiest, that seems like it wouldn't be as big a deal. In other words, pick something small to change rather than something huge. If there's something huge you want to change, like, let's say, start working out, okay? Start an exercise program. That's how a lot of people put it. That's too big. So we're going to narrow that down, tiny it down. I mean, you can go spend a couple of $100 or more joining a gym if you want to. But if you start with that as the way you're going to change, I'm not sure you're going to make it. You'll be one of the people that all the gym people are happy to sign up in the next week or two. So exercise, you want to change that, make it smaller. Like maybe once, I'm going to go once between now and Monday. I'm going to go for a walk around the block. I know that seems pathetic and crazy, possibly. But my theory is, if you can't go for a walk around the block, how do you think you're going to start working out at the gym for an hour 4 times a week? Okay? It's sort of like, don't start at the wrong end of the change. Start at the little end and then work your way up. So that's on how to pick a change. Pick one. Pick one that you have some motivation, that it feels like there's a want to, but that it's realistic in a way. It's something you really could change. Okay, you can't get a college degree in the first week of January. If you want to go back to school, for instance, you can start, again, narrowing it down, making it smaller, and think about taking a class. Or even just look online at what the options are for either online classes or in-person classes where you live. But I think you get the gist. You can't do it in a big bite. You're going to choke. Okay? The next question is, why do you want to change it? Okay? I think this is not that easy a question to answer, but it's really a good one to ask. You may have to play with it for a while. You may have to really be honest with yourself. Because I think that sometimes people want to change things so that they will feel better about themselves. And I'm not saying that can never happen, but I honestly think you might want to work on feeling better about yourself first. and then the changes will come more easily. Now that could be feeling better about yourself could include going for that walk around the block, if you let it. But then we get into the other psychology of change, which is how we criticize ourselves and diminish the accomplishments so that we don't feel good about them. I was talking to someone the other day who said, here it is, a new year, and I haven't accomplished anything. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, you were looking for a job, you were looking for a better job for ages, and you got a new job this year. And she said, well, somebody helped me get that, so it doesn't count. And I'm like, you are crazy. Well, I guess that's why you're talking to me. But yes, it counts. Everything counts. Walking around the block counts. It all counts. And as you count, you add things up and they lead to changes. Why do I say make one change? Because at the end of one change, you then decide, what do I want to do next? You can't sit here and know what you're going to want to do after you've accomplished one change. Now, I had listened to someone who seemed to be a pretty disciplined change person who was able to set goals and reach them. He said, change one thing and do that one thing for at least 3 weeks before you add or modify it at all. Okay? So that's the kind of slow changing we're talking about. Your whole life lies ahead of you, however much of that you have. I don't have a ton, so I'm a little bit more motivated. But I also have given up on some things or released my need to have certain things change in my life. But it doesn't really matter because every change is a part of your personal growth. So I don't care what the thing is that you pick, and I don't really care why you picked it, except that if you find yourself not doing it, that may be you haven't really understood what this behavior that you're trying to change means to you. So that I'm going to save another one for maybe later this weekend. The next one is how do you decide what to do? How do you make decisions? Because that relates to some of these issues about change. But in the meantime, I want to again wish you all a very happy New Year. And one of the things I'm going to change is how often I do my post. And you're like, yeah, we've heard that before. You have heard it before. But there's a few things, and I'll tell you next time about how I'm going to proceed with that change. I am very excited to be heading out to my first equine facilitated learning workshop in 2 weeks. I'm going to Tucson, Arizona, or a little bit south of Tucson, to a ranch where I will participate in an introductory workshop that doesn't involve any actual riding. I will just be on the ground interacting with horses and a facilitator, and I can't wait to tell you more about that. That's really one of the big changes that I accomplished last year was a shift in my direction of what I want to learn and how I want to learn it, and in 2 weeks I'll be taking the first step towards that. So I will hope to see you in the next couple of days where we talk about how to make a decision, and in the meantime, while you're enjoying your holiday weekend, I will remind you to live well, laugh often, and love much. And I'll see you soon on Cruisin' with Susan. Bye.